There's a cultural disconnect between independent schools and African American boys, and the question is why?
There's nothing you can't do in this world. We back you up all the way.
Triumph Award goes to Shay Summers. This is just the beginning.
Even through all the struggles, I feel like I'm going places.
You should be proud.
What we're going to do is, before we get into the movie, we wanted to recognize and have another individual who's been part of the work and part of the conversation of a lot of the work that has gone on here in Hillsborough County, has been a leader here in Hillsborough County in regards to education. We have Superintendent Mary Ellen Ilya, who's going to come up and give some words as well.
Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you coming out for this very important discussion. It's not always easy talking about topics that we don't talk about often, but they're pretty important for us. Topics such as parent engagement, race, school choice, achievement gaps and why they occur. They're necessary discussions. We have had discussions like this before, and we've taken on agendas to address some of those things. But if we're really going to have high expectations for all students and provide real opportunity for all students, we really need to have this honest dialogue about it and get input from many of our community partners, because the reality of this is we cannot do this alone. And we hope that we, in fact, can move this discussion to a number of other venues and be able to address these the issues that we have together. So thank you again for being here, and thank you, Sean, for taking on your role. We really appreciate it.
After the movie, the idea is that we're going to have a few of the folks, you'll get to hear me come up again. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you view it, but we'll have come up again and have a panel discussion. So we want to get right to it, to the movie. Thank you again for coming out, and we'll be back. I'll be back in a little bit.
I want Shayon to be comfortable around white folks, because I think even at this point, I am not comfortable around white folks.
How do you feel about being one of the few black kids there? Is that ever an issue?
No, it's never an issue.
Good try, Idris.
Dalton will open doors for him for the rest of his life.
This is just one component, so we wanted to, again, as we're getting folks set up here, wanted to at least provide an opportunity to have some dialogue and reactions to it. What is the American promise, and what does it mean to you?
I feel the American promise is based on the individual. The individual within him or herself, with the backing of their parents, because without the parents to push the individual to strive to get better, to surpass them, and to do well, the individual sometimes gets stagnant. And the promise is no longer a promise once the individual gets stagnant.
To me, the American promise, being first generation, a high school graduate, college graduate, and also coming here from another country, having the opportunity to, like the gentleman said, do more than my parents ever got a chance to do, and becoming an educator and opening up those doors as well for other children.
The American promise really is just continuing to have children succeed farther than that of their parents.
In the American promise movie, you can see the parents being really engaged. As parents, what can you do to, to help students along, males in particular, through this, as they go to school and going through school?
The thing is that I think we need to encourage, not take away, or every time I heard a good thing being said by the parents in the movie, there was a but right after it. You're good, but you're lazy, or you're good, but you're not, there was always that negative that followed, and they never kind of stopped the place where they said, you're a really good student, and you can really do this. You can do anything you want to do.
My basketball team, they said, oh, you talk like a white boy.
You heard a child say, he talks like a black or a white boy. How would you respond?
when he said that, he was still young, and that's why I understood why he said that, because he was young and he didn't really realize, well, there's no such thing as talking white. You're just talking proper. You're not, or it's not that saying that all white people talk proper. It's just that the ones he was around were.
When I'm at my family reunion, I carry myself a certain way. Where some of my children, some of the kids that I've taught may be slightly disappointed. You know what I mean? When I'm on the basketball court, I carry myself a certain way, where my kids may look at me and be like, wow, Mr. Sam, you really? But when I'm in my classroom, I carry myself a certain way. And when I teach my kids and when I'm trying to give them what they need, and you talked about the code switching piece, see, I can do that. That's no problem for me, but my kids may not be able to do that yet. So what I told them was simply this: there is no color to speaking properly. There is no color, there is no ethnicity to carrying yourself like a decent young person should. And I think that's the bottom line. I think we got to really address that when our kids put color to that, when they put color to, because what they're really saying is what I am is not good enough. So I need to be something else. And that's not okay.
Ethnic identity was something that we were told that was our defense against racism and institutional racism. So those were coping skills. If we studied harder and worked harder, we could get past what was institutional racism that prevented us from succeeding.
So that even Shayon dressed differently than he did at Dalton, than he did at Then Go, coming from Benjamin Banneker. So is that still part of it, still part of that general conversation of the way you dress determines of how smart you are, right? So if I'm wearing my suit and tie, I'm a certain type of intellect, but if I have my baggy jeans on, I'm different, so treat me differently, or I get treated differently. Does that part of that code, that code switching component, does that play into it at all in regards to how our brown and black males are treated in school or in other environments?
And I'm not saying that the clothes should define who you are or anything like that, but it's just something that's how you feel. That's how I feel. When I put a suit and tie on, I know I'm somebody. I'm somebody when I don't have a suit and tie on, but when I have a suit and tie on, I'm gonna make sure I look nice, and everybody knows I look nice.
As you said, you're in your suit and tie today, but tomorrow if you're in, like shorts and so on, you might be perceived totally different than you are this evening. And that's just something that's in all of us, I think. It's not like, we tend to judge based on dress before we even hear the person speak. So we make an assumption, and unfortunately that's something we really have to address within ourselves.
Have either one of you been in a single gender school?
There is a slight bias toward what I feel in the classroom, as far as I feel that girls are definitely, more kind of situated to be more organized and more successful in the classroom compared to boys. So I think that as far as looking forward, I think teachers need to have a real dialogue about, okay, boys and girls are different, so they need to, assess them differently.
If you had 30 seconds to take and have some last-minute comments, just kind of summation of either what your reaction was, or just part of the conversation, or kind of next steps for you.
It really does take a village to raise a child, like we've heard many times, and we've heard some great ideas and some great discussion here tonight. And I would just encourage everyone to get involved, communicate with each other, not only with the schools, but reach out to your community recreation centers, volunteer, and let's just make it happen.
I think venues like this, Sean, what Melissa has put together is phenomenal. These kind of opportunities, because if you looked at the parents and the amount of time that it took for those years going through, we need to have venues and have the school system and parents come together in a safe place that we can say, I don't understand what these standards are, or can you explain this to me? And these kinds of initiatives, but really take advantage and ask other parents, what are you doing to get through? How are your kids doing in passing the test? And if you're having the struggles, what can we do differently?
Please welcome up Emery Ivory, Tampa Bay Area President of United Way Suncoast.
Just a couple of points. One is that speaking certainly on behalf of United Way, and I'm sure the other partners that came together to put on this event, we are in support, fully supportive of the Hillsborough County School District. We believe that, that we have a visionary superintendent, dedicated teachers and staff, a strong school board, and all of the partners along with the school district have the same goal and mission, and that is we want to make sure that all of our kids have what they need to graduate from high school and with the skills that they need to go on to college or to pursue the career of their choice. Thanks to all of you for coming out. We really, really appreciate it. We will continue these conversations and have more of these conversations, and we will take all of the information that we have learned today to inform our work and to continue on to build a stronger community. So thanks to all of you for coming out today. We really, really appreciate it.